Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, November 4th. From the San Antonio Express News, my name is Luis Vasquez, and this is your Express Briefing. All of the stories you need to know to start your day. You can expect mostly sunny skies and a high of 79 degrees in San Antonio today. Above average temperatures and dry weather is creating drought conditions in the San Antonio area, according to the National Weather Service. Meteorologists blame La Niña. Election day has passed, but the stress around U.S. politics is still real. Mental health experts recommend maintaining focus on your personal situation rather than taking on the task about worrying about the country as a whole. We have some ways to battle election anxiety at expressnews.com. If you want to read more about what happened yesterday, we kept a live blog of election day happenings around San Antonio and Austin areas, from polling issues to race results. Today's Need to Know section is packed with results from area races. And now let's move on to our top stories for the day. Even though Election Day turnout was a little disappointing, with a third fewer voters showing up than in 2016, Bexar County residents shattered voter turnout records. The mix of a deadly pandemic, a summer of unrest, and a fiercely contested presidential election drew Bexar County voters to the polls in unprecedented numbers, with roughly 677,000 casting ballots in person or by mail before Election Day. By the end of Election Day, about 760,000 people had voted, a turnout of 64% of registered voters. That's up from 57.7% in 2016, the previous record. You can take a deeper dive into the numbers in Marina Starley-Freiker's latest article. In another sign of the coronavirus pandemic's financial toll, the San Antonio Water Authority reported Tuesday that more than 32,000 households are so behind on paying their bills that their water would have been shut off if there wasn't a moratorium on disconnections. In early March, before the pandemic hit, there were about 4,800 delinquent accounts about to be disconnected when the Utilities Board of Trustees imposed a moratorium, recognizing that running water is essential to good health and to slowing down the spread of the virus. As residents lost their jobs and much of the economy tanked, that number grew dramatically. As of October 30th, there are now 32,237 residential accounts owing a total of $18.5 million. At Tuesday's meeting, the board decided the utility will readdress the moratorium in December. U.S. Senator John Cornyn, one of the top Republicans in the Senate, is headed back to D.C. for a fourth term. Democratic challenger M.J. Hagar, a former Air Force pilot, conceded the race Tuesday night. Hagar called to concede the race to Cornyn around 8 p.m. as results were still rolling in. While she led in the state's biggest counties, Cornyn held on in rural parts of the state and appeared on track to outperform President Donald Trump, who many believe to be a liability for the incumbent. Texans have not sent a Democrat to the U.S. Senate since Lloyd Bentsen won the third term in 1988. Still, Hagar appeared on track to come closer than any challenger to defeating Cornyn, who has won each of his past re-election races by double digits, including a 27-point victory in 2014. You can read more about this race in Benjamin Warman's latest article. Columnist Gilbert Garcia writes, "In politics, there are people who work to expand the electorate. There are others who work to shrink it. History does not look kindly on the latter group. In Texas, we have seen groups such as the Texas Organizing Project and Move Texas work feverishly to bring the chronically ignored and written off communities of this state inside the tent of electoral politics where true power resides. Regardless of the final tallies in this year's general election, we can see the impact of their work in Texas." Read Garcia's latest column at expressnews.com. Over the past month, the 7-day moving average for daily coronavirus cases has risen from 136 to 227. The proportion of people testing positive for the virus has also risen over the past few weeks. On Monday, health officials reported a weekly positivity rate of 7.7%, up from 6.9% a week ago and 4.9% a month ago. You can keep track of the weekly positivity rate for Bexar County at expressnews.com. Next up are your Need to Know headlines. You can find all of these headlines and more inside your Express News subscription. President Donald Trump kept Texas red. despite Democrats' vows to flip the state blue for the first time in decades. Trump won more than 230 of the state's 254 counties and won the state, a victory he had been predicting for over a year. Republicans won 9 out of 10 Texas congressional races targeted by Democrats, with one North Texas district too close to call Wednesday morning. A trio of sales tax measures to train San Antonio workers for new jobs, expand public transit, and renew the city's early childhood education program were passing by an overwhelming margin, with a majority of the vote counted Tuesday night. Bexar County Sheriff Javier Salazar was headed to a comfortable re-election victory Tuesday night over Republican challenger Gerard Rickoff based on unofficial returns. Salazar, a Democrat, is the first Bexar County Sheriff to be re-elected since 2004. A night that began in uncertainty ended with big wins for GOP candidates in tight congressional races in the San Antonio area, including the battle for U.S. House District 23. The Associated Press called the CD23 race for Republican Tony Gonzalez over Democrat Gina Ortiz-Jones just after 2 a.m. Republican Representative Chip Roy defeated Democrat Wendy Davis by more than 6 percentage points in Texas's 21st congressional district in what was billed as one of the most competitive House races in the state. Republicans looking to preserve their longtime dominance over the state's two most powerful courts did not appear to be in jeopardy as early voting totals came in Tuesday night. Despite a surge of Democrats and independents who voted early in a traditionally GOP precinct, Republican Trish DeBerry beat her Democratic opponent Christine Hortick in the race for an open seat on Bexar County Commissioner's Court. Roland Gutierrez beat incumbent Pete Flores in the race for Senate District 19, returning control of the San Antonio area district to a Democratic Party that had held it for 139 years before losing it in 2018. In House District 121, Republican incumbent Steve Allison held off challenger Selena Montoya to retain his seat. The 5 Northeast Independent School District trustees seeking to keep their board seats drew challengers this year, but most had clear majorities with most boxes counted early Wednesday. San Antonio Independent School District voters approved the largest bond in San Antonio history. The bond's 2 propositions totaling $1.3 billion won by a 2-to-1 margin on Tuesday. Alamo Heights voters were well on their way to approving a $13.25 million bond issue for the Austin Highway Lower Broadway Improvement Project as election officials announced the results of record-setting early voting on Tuesday night. Of the 3 seats up for grabs in the Alamo College District's Board of Trustees, the District 2 race was all but decided Tuesday night, while the other 2 were headed for runoff elections in December. Democratic candidates for judgeships appeared headed towards victory as they recorded strong leads over their Republican opponents in early voting returns in Bexar County. Leon Valley residents were on the verge of rejecting 3 city council members and approving changes to the city charter. The Leon Valley City Council, in a meeting that ran into the early hours of Tuesday morning, accepted the resignation of City Manager Kelly Kunstler and named Police Chief Joe Salvaggio the interim city manager. Argo Group International Holdings Limited, a specialty insurer with its U.S. headquarters in San Antonio, is shedding a reinsurance business and a European underwriting operation while exiting the grocery and retail business in a bid to become a high-performing U.S.-focused specialty insurer. No matter who won the presidential election, many Americans will be disappointed, and their expectations for the future will affect all of us, business columnist Chris Tomlinson writes, adding, "The two sides not only support different candidates, but they rely on different facts." Toyota on Tuesday reported record October sales and a sharp increase in demand for its San Antonio-made pickup trucks, but the figures suggest the U.S. economy is recovering unevenly. San Antonio's Fresh from Texas LLC, which sells meal kits made from fruits and vegetables, announced it has acquired the Austin manufacturing plant of Veggie Noodle Company. 4 years from now, we'll remember DeMar DeRozan and J.J. Watt and other athletes who speak up and take action on topics not related to sports. And no matter what happened Tuesday, that's not going to stop, writes Mike Finger in his latest sports column. If ever there was an animal that's good at going with the flow, it's the red-eared slider. The hard-shell reptile is one of the most relaxed yet resilient creatures on the planet, able to make itself at home well beyond its home turf. They can live pretty much anywhere, said Sal Sabetta, a master naturalist in Converse and a turtle biologist for Texas Turtles, a nonprofit dedicated to the conservation and study of native turtles across the Lone Star State. Rene Guzman offers a closer look at what makes the red-eared slider such a smooth operator. Leticia Huerta had pretty much decided to retire from making art, but the popularity of her 2018 installation Bloom means that she'll be doing it a little while longer. That's because the city wants to plant more of her fanciful faux flowers, which are crafted from metal pieces resembling larger-than-life bicycle parts in parks all over the city. You can read more about this artist in Deborah Martin's latest article. Fall flavor sizzle in Hayride Bacon from H-E-B, a small batch product available for a limited time. Halloween is over, but the scary movies keep coming. The British psychological thriller Kindred tops our list of what's new and notable in home video. In honor of both active and retired military members, daily entrance fees will be waived for all visitors at Texas State Parks on Sunday. And that's all for today. This was your Express Briefing for Wednesday, November 4th. My name is Luis Vasquez. Please consider becoming an Express News subscriber to get in-depth coverage on all the stories you heard today. Also, be sure to rate and review this podcast inside of your Apple Podcasts app, as it really helps the show. Have a wonderful day, everyone.